Hello everyone, my name is Tarasov and I work at Stratis as software developer. And in this presentation I will show you how to use NFTs with Stratis Unity SDK. This video will cover a node setup, how to create a wallet, how to set up Unity with Stratis Unity SDK. Also we'll create a new wallet within Stratis Unity SDK and fund it. And after that I'll show you how to deploy NFT contract, how to mint new NFTs and how to transfer them between different addresses. So first thing that we need to do is to set up a Stratis Node. Stratis Node basically acts as an API provider for Stratis Unity SDK. Stratis Unity SDK itself is a non-custodial solution which allows end user, basically your player in the game you're creating, to self-custody their own Stratis. The only thing that Node is being used for is basically data provision, and also it helps user to propagate transactions. Transactions themselves are being created on the user side fully and signed with private key, which never leaves a user's device. So the first thing that you will need to do is to get the latest node. The latest node is at release 1.100. It contains all the Unity related features. So you'll need to sync this GitHub repository and switch to this branch. Once you do that, you basically can run the node and sync it. In order to do that, you need to run the node from Cirrus D directory. I use a simple script for that. Basically, you'll need to go to Cirrus D and then call .NET run with transaction index enabled and also address indexing enabled. And for this tutorial, we'll be using testnet, since it currently contains latest NFT version contract already whitelisted. And also you need to enable Unity API feature. When you enable it, you basically add additional port which will run on your local host, and it will provide all the API methods that Unity SDK needs. For the sake of simplicity, in this tutorial we will run everything on localhost, but in production environment what you'll need to do is to run Node on a server and also open 44336 port. This is the default port that is used for Unity API. So let's run our node. As you can see, I've already pre-synced the node and it's up to date. When you run the node for the first time, it will take quite some time in order for it to synchronize fully. So you should wait for the node to fully synchronize, and after that, if you want, you can just leave it like that, or if you want a wallet, you can create a new one. To create a new wallet, you basically need to, not this one, this one. You need to go to localhost 3823, and there is a Swagger which has all the API endpoints. So under the wallet, under the wallet you have create here, and if you want to create a new wallet, you just don't supply mnemonic and then click execute. It will basically add a new wallet here. As you can see, I already have wallet with some T-strats. So after you create a test wallet, next thing that you will need to do is to get an unused address. Here you will supply wallet name and account. Account is always 0. And after you click execute, basically it will supply you first unused address, which you then can use to fund your T-strats or structs if you're running on mainnet. You can acquire Stratis on basically several exchanges, and for acquiring T-Strats, you can write any Stratis developer, or you can use a faucet. So let's say you have fully synced your node. After that, we can open Unity and create a new project. And after that, we will add SDK. So let's create a new project. New Unity project. While the project is being created, we can get the latest Stratis Unity SDK. So you will need to go to github.com/Stratis project and get your SDK from Unity 3D integration repository. It's in resources, so download the repository and get this Unity package. Our new Unity project is created, and now we can proceed to importing Stratis Unity SDK. Let's click import package, custom package, and here we have version 2, so let's import everything in it. Now once it's imported, you can see that there are some tests in there which cover all the features in Unity 3D, in Stratis Unity 3D SDK. Basically what we currently have is some examples where you can create a new wallet, add a mnemonic, generate new mnemonic, or recover wallet from previous mnemonic. You can check balances of your addresses. Actually, let me show it. So you need to run a node while doing that, because it will provide API. And here in the example scene, you are providing your API endpoint. If you click test and you have API test successful, it means everything working perfectly. Here you can generate new mnemonic. And basically you can paste here your old mnemonic which you already funded with some money. So when you click initialize, you can see that your Stratis address is generated, and you can see its current balance. Also, sending transactions is supported here, and sending op-return transaction is supported. Op-return transactions are basically transactions which generate UTXO which cannot be spent, in general op-return transactions are used just to store some data on blockchain. So you can play around with that, and there are some other test scenes which cover smart contracts and some wrappers for smart contracts. Right now there are two wrappers, one for NFT and another for standard token, which is basically our ERC20 version of token. But in this particular demo, I will show you how to work with NFTs. So let's open NFT example and go to scripts, open NFT example. I have prepared some code, but here we will not just use it, everything as is. Instead, we will deploy new NFT and try to mint some, and also transfer NFTs between addresses. So, so let's see what's going on here. Basically, we're just creating two mnemonics, and from them we will later derive addresses. Those will be mnemonics for addresses between which we will transfer NFTs. It's important to mention that the address which is generated from this mnemonic is already pre-funded with some T-Strats. If you want, you can use the same mnemonic, just don't drain it all, because other people might want to use it. but also what you can do is generate the address and then send some tstrat either from the faucet or from your wallet. So in case you have a wallet here, what you will have to do is to transfer some of this money to your generated address in Stratis Unity SDK. And in order to do that, you will need to open Swagger and go under wallet and click create transaction, build transaction. So you have all the information here. Basically, you don't need to provide operator data and data amount. Fee type would be 105. This is fine, this is fine. Change address, you don't need to supply that. You don't need to supply out points. Account name would be always account 0. Wallet name would be your wallet name. Password will be the password. You don't need to supply fee amount as long as you supply fee type. And also here in destination address, you will need to provide your address generated in Stratis Unity SDK. Destination script doesn't need to be supplied, and amount will be, let's say, 10 test Stratis. After that, you click execute, and after that you click execute, and you will get hash for your transaction. After that, you click execute and you will get transaction hex. Then you will need to go to send transaction and provide this hex here and click execute. After that, transaction will be supplied to the mempool, and after it's added to the block, you will have those funds on your address in Stratis Unity SDK. And we're also creating a new network on Cirrus test. After that, we're generating first address for our mnemonic. This will be address which will be used for NFT contract deployment and minting. So here I already have NFT contract deployed, but for the sake of this tutorial, let's deploy a new one. So where is it? Deploy NFT. And before we run that, let's see what's inside. Basically, there is some parameters that you can specify. For example, NFT name and symbol for your NFT. And then we're using NFT wrapper class, which deploys smart contract. If we go inside and see what's there, basically wrapper will encode all the parameters that we supply to smart contract constructor, and then it will generate transaction and send it to our node. And when we do that, node will validate this transaction and then propagate for miners to mine this transaction. And once this transaction is mined, we'll have a deploy contract. So here, after we deploy, we have a transaction ID, and when we work with any smart contract, all the feedback from smart contract we can get from receipt. So to get a receipt, you first need to send a transaction which interacts with smart contract, and once this transaction is mined, you will know what is the result of your smart contract call or deployment. In this particular case, this code will wait until the transaction is mined, and then it will display a new contract address that we just deployed. So yeah, let's save it and run it in Unity. And now go to console. We can see that from our mnemonics 2 addresses were generated, and then we created a contract deployment transaction. So if we go to the node, we can see that there is one transaction in the mempool. That's the transaction that we sent from Unity. And now let's wait until this transaction is mined. So as we can see, the transaction got mined and there is nothing in the mempool. And now in the logs we have basically our new address. So let's copy this address and use it for our demo. What we are doing here is creating NFT wrapper with the address that with the smart contracts address that we just created. So here we're getting balances for two addresses that we have, and if everything is correct, we will see that both of those values will be 0. So let's display it, and now let's run it. So yeah, since we just generated our smart contract, none of those addresses have any NFTs. So what we would like to do right now is to mint some new NFTs. And let's say we don't want to mint just one, we want to mint 10 of them. So I'll add a for loop. And now let's run our code and wait until 10 transactions are sent and propagated. For the sake of saving your time, I'll just skip this process because it will take probably around 5 minutes, and just keep it in the video. Okay, now after we generated 10 NFTs, let's remove this logic and just display that we actually have our 10 NFTs. As we can see, we have 10 new minted NFTs. And also it's important to mention that every time when you mint NFT or transfer NFT from one address to another, an transfer event is being created. So to transfer NFTs between different addresses, you need to know NFT ID. It's pretty straightforward when you just created a new NFT contract, because all the IDs start from 1. So your first NFT will have ID of 1 and fifth ID of 5. But when you receive your NFT and not minted yourself, or you have minted already several and you don't know what is the current ID is, what you will need to do is to get IDs for your NFTs from receipts, and for that we can use this method. Basically, you will need to receipt search and provide transfer log as an event name. Also, it's important to mention that receipt search is a quite slow function, so when you just run it without from block, and let's say it's 0 by default, it will require Node to check all the logs from the first block and iterate all the logs, and it might take around a couple of minutes. So preferred way is to use block ID at which your contract was deployed and set it as a from block, or at least set from block slightly earlier than the contract deployment block, because otherwise it will take quite long. Also, if you are making a long-term solution, what you should probably do is to cache all the transfer receipts and every time when you need to update data, you will move from block to the last block at which you requested this information. But for the sake of simplicity here, we'll just avoid using any caching mechanism, and what we're doing here is basically iterating all the receipts and then deserializing them into transfer event log. What it has is basically event name, from is the address from which NFT was moved, to is the address to which NFT was moved, and token ID is the ID that we will need to use in order to do anything with this NFT. You need your token ID in order to transfer it anywhere, and also in order for it to be burned. So let's call this function just to see that it actually displays all the transfers. So if you open this log, we can see that all our minted tokens were deposited to our first address, which is the owner of the contract. And we have IDs from 1 to 10. Alright, now let's transfer some NFTs between two different addresses. So to do that, we basically need to call transfer from and specify address which holds some NFTs, specify address to which we would like to deposit our NFT, and token ID. As we've seen before, we currently have IDs from 1 to 10. So let's transfer our first token to second address and then basically display how many NFTs each address has. So let's start it. Oh, I didn't save it. Sorry about that. So let's start it. And let's wait while transfer is being completed. Oh, it's completed already, and we see that second address got 1 NFT. So now let's try to send second token, and it will be pretty much the same after that. Second address should have 2 NFTs and first address should have 8. Yeah, now we can see that everything is correct. And of course we can transfer NFT back from second address to first address. And we also can burn our NFT. So let's say that we would like to burn one of the NFTs that we transferred. So we call burn a thing, and let's say the token ID is 2. Let's await. We don't know, we don't need that. Yeah, but we need to display those, so let's burn it. Let's wait until burn is completed. So for that we should wait for burn ID. And now let's see if we can actually burn an NFT. So we can see that in total we have 10 NFTs, and after the burn we should have 7 NFTs for the first address and still 2 NFTs for the second. So let's see if this happens. And yeah, as you can see, we just burned one NFT. So this is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it was helpful for you, and I hope that you will try it out yourself. Also, in case while trying it out you encounter some problems with it, you can always write to support channel on Stratis Discord or write me directly. Thank you for your attention and have a good day.